Remarkable people overcoming remarkable challenges with resilience, dedication, community, and grit. Listen as they share their stories of overcoming adversity. Open your eyes to what is genuinely possible for all of us. Authentic Adversity with host Chris Howe.
Welcome back to another episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Today, I'm sitting down with somebody I've gotten to know over the last 6 or 8 months through social media. He's a very inspirational guy, motivational. He's a firefighter and a fitness coach. This is Brad Dunn from Reliant Fitness. Welcome, Brad.
Hey, what's going on, Chris? Happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Yeah, man. As I said, your account is super inspirational, always motivational, and I love what you're doing. We've got a few things in common. And so I was really happy to come across your page, and, I know that your content is, I can imagine, it is very inspiring for just about everybody who follows you. I know that for me, if I'm having a low day where I'm not feeling like training, or I'm a little down, and I see you hitting your burpees or doing your push-ups or whatever at 3 a.m., I'm like, oh shit, he's doing it. I better do it. I love that about you, though.
Yeah. Thank you, man. No, that's kind of been the goal, is to be that spark in someone's day. Like, ah, shit, I need to get up and do something,
Yeah.
And I've gotten a lot of that feedback, like, oh, you're the reason I went to the gym today, or you're the reason I went and did this today. So that, to me, that's the goal, is to get people up and moving.
For sure, man. And I love that. There's a lot of people online that are trying to do it, but pages like yours, I find to be really genuine. There's something about the way you communicate online that I find really interesting, because you're not putting anybody down or belittling anyone or saying, you guys need to do this and screaming at the phone. You're just motivating people, sharing what you're doing, which is more of a, you're attracting people, not promoting yourself, which I think that's a really, really important thing.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's, I've had to, kind of sit back and think of a slightly different approach, because there are a lot of people that do that, and it's just it's just being in a different mindset. And like you said, trying to attract a different type of audience per se. And I've been fortunate. It still works pretty well for me, between generating a pretty decent sized following and a decent sized client base. So
yeah.
Can't say that it hasn't been beneficial so far.
Yeah, man. No, that's amazing. And I know it's a very saturated market. So it takes a lot to stand out. And I think you're doing a great job of that. Yeah.
Thank you. That was definitely an initial concern of mine getting into this. It seems like everybody nowadays wants to be some sort of influencer or coach or something along those lines. It's like, man, well, how am I going to make myself really stand out in front of and all these people in this sea of people? And it's just, at the end of the day, you just have to do what you do and show your life, and the right people will gravitate towards it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think if it's put out there in a very genuine way, and a very honest and kind of a raw version of yourself, and you're not also, you're not a person that's just talking the talk. You're really walking the walk. It shows in your physique. It shows in your workouts. It shows in your dedication. We've got a time difference. So you're up doing push-ups at 3 a.m. I wake up around the same time, that's 6 a.m. for me. And I wake up and I see you every morning doing the same thing, and that, you know what I mean? And I don't get sick of it, which that's a big deal, to not get sick of it. And because it shows me that you're not a person that's just going to tell somebody, as a coach, you're not a person that's going to say, you need to do this, you need to do this. Here's your macros, here's your workout plan, here's your mindset, program. you're actually doing it. And that's important. And I see a lot of people that are just talking the talk and not walking the walk. And I think that, the way you put it out there is great. It's great content. It's great to let the people have a glimpse of your real life. And, it motivates people. And as I said, like, you can't watch somebody, doing burpees at 3 a.m. or doing push-ups or doing whatever at 3 a.m. and say, fuck, I don't have time to do, you know what I mean? Like, it's very cool.
That's a big, thank you, man. And that's really a big part of it too, is, you can sit there and you can tell people how to do it, or you can show them,
Yes.
and I feel like that's what separates, a handful of us from a lot of other people trying to do
Mm-hmm.
this, is you're more of a leader than you are a coach.
Yes.
You're leading by example, you're living the example, and you're showing these people how they can do it, and eliminating all the excuses that might fall into place just by doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
I know everybody's busy. I know everybody complains about time, about money, about kids, about work and stuff. And it's like, I got all those same things and I still make it happen. So
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it, and I just try to show that as much as possible.
Yeah, man, I believe that's the most effective way to do it. And I love what you're putting out there. And there's a reason why you're as successful and continuing to grow, on a daily basis that way. It's because you are who you are, and you do what you do very genuinely.
This episode of the Authentic Adversity podcast is brought to you and sponsored by Another Road Drug and Alcohol Treatment Center. Another Road offers a client-centered recovery program tailored to every individual's circumstances. Their focus is to create a supportive, healing environment rather than a rigid, rule-based institution. Their dedicated commitment upholds the individual values, respecting each person's desire for recovery. Another Road understands that every individual requires a unique and focused approach to their recovery. Certain modalities of treatment are introduced along with the tools necessary for each client. Located in a rural setting, their addiction treatment center for all genders provides the perfect setting for a transformative recovery experience and sense of belonging. The private residential treatment facility offers an unparalleled program with counselors that have in-depth knowledge based on varying years of experience in addiction. Another Road utilizes unique, individual-focused plans for recovery that address the complexities of drug addiction, alcoholism, and prescription medication misuse. They have a 65% success rate when clients follow their program. I know many people who have completed this program, and they have absolutely rave reviews. To learn more, visit anotherroad.ca.
So, I want to get into, what brought you there. I want to get into, stuff about work. But like, I like to do it in a chronological type of form. So, to kind of kick it off, I'd like to know, can you kind of paint a picture for us of like how you grew up, where you grew up, what you're into, and maybe some struggles along the way that you might have had.
Absolutely. So, I was born and raised in Orange County, California.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there until I was like 26, 27. So most of my life, realistically speaking, had a good family. My mom and dad, were together until I was like 16, had a little brother. So good upbringing, good foundation. Played sports my whole life up into high school, and even in the early stages of college. Was really big into like the whole punk rock scene growing up and stuff like that. So as soon as I stopped like playing sports and having that structure and that discipline, like basically keeping me in line, it's kind of where I started like going off the path.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was, and when I wasn't prepping for games or tournaments or practices, and I had all this free time, that's where, the partying, the drugs, the alcohol, the fast life really grabbed a hold of me, and just kind of, that was life for years. It was normal for me to, spend a lot of my time, my energy, and my money, consuming things that were in the retrospect of it negative, completely negative.
Right.
And it was just, I mean, it's so funny looking back at it, because you look at everything, you know, you look at the people that I looked up to and the people I surrounded myself with, and it was just normal, you know, like it was normal to kind of work through the week and then party all weekend and then repeat. And without even realizing it, you fall into such a vicious cycle that, you know, I get, you know, getting arrested, getting 2 DUIs, you know, crashing my motorcycle a bunch of times, like basically dodging all these bullets, and then finally waking up one day and it's like, fuck, I might have a problem, you know, like,
And we always say that, like, oh, fuck, I might have a problem, like 5 years after everybody had been telling us, you're fucked, you got a problem, you know, you need to change. But we're the last to know, we're the last to admit it. Right. And I find, and you know, I there's a lot of similarities in my life too, you know, like, and growing up in the kind of like punk rock hardcore scene, you know, you had either the straight edge crews or like the total, like full on addict, crews. And I always was, attracted to the addicts, because, they had substances that would help me escape my reality. And the same thing with me, you know, like as time goes on, like, you know, we're getting in car accidents, we're getting arrested, we're running from the cops, we're like, all these things that are happening to us is like, you know, I don't like to throw around words like the universe telling us or whatever, but something is saying, hey man, like nudging us towards, you got a problem. But you know, it takes, we are so stubborn. We're so stubborn because we don't listen to it until it gets, you know, sometimes too late. But, you know, when we're finally able to admit we have a problem and okay, now I need to change, you know, we've hit some pretty low bottoms.
Yeah, it was a lot, you know, and just looking back, you know, like thinking how normal it was, and then the lifestyle I live now, and it's like, man, I couldn't even imagine going back to that lifestyle. And like you said, like the universe telling you, there were so many times where, you know, I could have felt like this is the universe telling me to stop, to wise the fuck up, to grow up. And I just kept doing the same thing. And then, you know, realistically, it was probably about 3 years ago, but then like really more so about a year ago, where I was like, I really need to like change the way that I'm living. And, you know, I've gotten super lucky and super fortunate that I've, one, haven't died, and two, haven't, you know, ended up on an extended prison term. You know, not only did I dodge death, but I've dodged the gavel, you know, a handful of times. And then I'm finally like, you know, I should really do something with all this. You know, there's a reason why I'm not dead or in prison right now, and I need to find that fucking reason.
Right.
And I think I found it.
Yeah. So what did that look like for you?
Well, at first it was, you know, basically because I spent most of my adult life working as an automotive mechanic. So, you know, working in a garage, working on cars, turning wrenches, that whole thing. And I loved it. You know, I loved being able to, like, you know, work with my hands and learn that kind of a trade, the craft that's almost dying these days. But then it was such a, you know, negative environment. You know, I was surrounded by these other grown men that were, you know, struggled with problems with alcohol, maybe drugs, you know, divorce and all this stuff. So they're just like these salty old fucks, you know, and I'm like just this younger kid at the time. And I'm like, I need to get out of here before this becomes my life too. Because you are, you know, you're the mean of the closest 4 or 5 people. And I mean, those are the 4 or 5 people I'm around all the time. I was just bound to fall right into that same trend. And I didn't want that. So then I made a kind of a drastic decision when I turned 30. I'm like, well, I'm going to go become a firefighter. You know, like it was something I was interested in when I was a younger man. Like, you know, who doesn't want to be a firefighter when they're a kid? They see the engine roll by, they see the dudes in all the gear, and they're like, man, that looks awesome.
You know who doesn't? Who didn't?
I just like
me. Never in my life did I think I would be a firefighter. Really, even until like the year before I got hired, I thought there's no way anybody would employ me to do that shit. there's no way.
Well, see, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, I thought very much the same thing. You know, with the tattoos and a little bit of the background and some of my criminal
Yeah.
history and stuff like that, and DUIs, and I was like, "There's no way." But I'm like, I'll never know until I try.
Right.
You know. And I talked to a bunch of people and they're like, yeah, man, like you could probably get a job. Like they want people like you who have like, years in a trade experience, all this life experience.
Yeah.
Like they want people like you. I mean, you're just going to have to be a little bit, you're going to have to be a little bit open about who you work for because of, your tattoos and everything else. Like you're probably not going to be able to go for the top 3 departments you want to work for.
Okay.
But I mean, I was like, whatever, like I can do it anyway. So made a plan to go get my EMT, did an accelerated course out in Arizona. So I got my EMT in like 14 days.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So that was quite a commitment, but it was fun. And it was like the first step and I knocked it out of the park. So I was like super jazzed on the journey,
Cool.
and then got enrolled into a fire academy, which was a live-in fire academy. So that was also an accelerated program, 14-week academy that was live-in.
Where's that?
Northern San Diego. It was called San Pasqual Reservation Fire Academy.
Okay, cool.
Unfortunately, they closed their doors, but that's where I did that. And then as soon as I graduated from the academy, I came back to San Luis Obispo County and started just applying and testing. And I got in as a reserve firefighter, so basically a part-time firefighter, and then it's called a paid call firefighter.
Okay.
So it's basically like a slightly paid volunteer. So you can go work on the engine and in the station with the guys and train and everything and ride along, but you only get paid when you run a call. So like it's a weird scale, and it's not really any sort of money, to like be like, oh yeah, I'm making a killing out here. It's more just like a little bit of paid training.
Yeah, so you're doing it for either the love of the job or as a stepping stone to a full-time position.
Exactly. And that's what it was. It was a stepping stone. I was involved in 3 different part-time programs here in the county, and then got put into my position with CAL FIRE currently. And I've been with CAL FIRE for coming up on 3 years now.
So CAL FIRE is a statewide department, right?
Correct.
Okay, and so then you have what, like divisions or regions or how does that work?
So where the state is basically split into what they call North Ops and South Ops.
Okay.
But we're basically in every county throughout the state because we have contracts other than like 6 counties, and that's because they have their own county fire department that they basically employ and rely on. So that's basically like Santa Barbara County, LA County, Orange County, Marin, and like a couple others that have like their own 100% fully fledged county fire department. Right. Other than that, CAL FIRE is in every county throughout the state.
Wow, that's so different than what it's like here. I've never heard of that structure before.
Yeah, I think we're one of the only departments that has that kind of structure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild because you can pretty much go anywhere in the state and have a job, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
We have a lot of different aspects. A lot of people think that we're just wildland firefighters, and while that's a big part of what we do, we also, have a very big Schedule A program, like your typical county A-ride engines,
right?
With paramedics, technical rescue, water rescue. We have air programs, helicopters, fixed wing aircraft. So there's a lot of different avenues that you can go into and explore with this department that are outside of that, like kind of wildland, persona that a lot of people think that that's all it is.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. Like I work in a city, so I just, we do, and we don't have, like, our paramedics are a separate entity than our fire department, right? So we're just, we're high angle, we're water rescue, MVCs, fires, of course.
Nice.
We respond to medicals, but we're not like, we just start treatment, and then once the medics get there, they take over from us. And then we do like trench rescue, a whole bunch of different rescues and stuff like that. But nice. Yeah, so but that's really cool. So for us, it's like you work in like for a municipality, for a city, right? I work for Niagara Falls. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been there for 21, almost 22 years now. And if I wanted to go, work for a different city within my province here, I'd have to apply and start as a probie again. And so
Right.
and so for you, that's different, right? Like you could travel, if you want to relocate somewhere in California, you could take your seniority with you essentially as a Cal State firefighter sort of thing.
Yes. I don't know the exact terms of how the seniority transfers over when you go to a different unit or a
Yeah.
different county,
Yeah.
but in a sense, yes. Like if you're a permanent employee, because right now what I am considered is a seasonal.
Oh,
So
okay.
I work like 8 or 9 months out of the year,
Mhm.
and then I get laid off, and then I come back until I promote to a full-time position.
Okay.
But these full-time positions, once they're off, like the kind of like their probationary period,
Yeah.
their 1 year probationary period, they can basically put in a transfer to a different unit.
Gotcha.
And if they want to go work for somewhere else in the state, because a lot of guys, they'll commute, 4, 5, 6 hours,
Right.
you know, but then once they're in and they've completed their jack, their basically their probationary stuff, they'll apply to transfer to a unit that's closer to home or even where they might live.
I see.
Um, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot of opportunity and a lot of openings, but it's a good place to get going for sure.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not your your municipal fire department by any
For
means.
sure. For sure. That's really interesting. I mean, to me, it's just interesting to hear how other places do it. Right. I mean, I've been with the same department for the entire time, and with the same guys. Like, I'm sure that you work with pretty much the same core group of guys, like every shift, or do you
I
rotate through?
wish
Oh,
we rotate quite a bit, and we always have people coming in from other stations, or
hmm,
like backfilling openings or stuff like that. So I mean, realistically, like, yes, we have like the same captains and engineers
okay,
somewhat on a permanent, more of a permanent scheduling, but firefighters and some of the lower level engineers, company officers are constantly getting pushed out to other stations and stuff to fill voids in the schedule.
I see.
But I mean, we're a pretty small county in regards to some of the other counties in the state.
Okay,
So I mean, most of us know each other fairly well,
cool.
without being like, oh, who's this guy?
Yeah,
Like who we're all pretty familiar with each other to an extent.
cool. So yeah, I guess a kind of a question I had, and we'll get into like how you got into the personal training and coaching and that sort of thing. But on a work level, do you find that you take that lead or that role at work as well, training the guys physically, or kind of motivating the guys to stay fit?
Absolutely. And that's kind of where this stemmed
Okay.
from. So I took pride in always like writing up the station workouts,
Hmm.
and like every time we did, whether it was a circuit or a lift or something like that, I was always the one like putting it together.
I see.
And I took pride in that. And trying to teach the guys about, eating properly and, proper macronutrient, splits and the amount of calories that we should be consuming for what we're doing. That's kind of where all this stemmed from.
Okay, cool.
And then, yeah, so that was that was like square one of this.
So how did you find, because I mean, I can only speak for my department, but like we got a lot of couch sitters and guys that just sit in the staff room for most of the 24-hour shift, bitching, complaining, eating shit food, drinking coffee, and just being like absolute I mean, I mean, they're not doing their job justice, and they're not doing themselves justice by parking themselves in a chair for the better part of a 24-hour shift. What are your
Right.
guys like?
I mean, we have that too,
Yeah,
but at the firefighter level, we're basically mandatory workout
cool.
every day at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So they have to come out and PT
Wow.
at that point in the day. Um, and then usually if the schedule allows, we'll do another workout in the evening. So ideally we'll double down if the day is not too crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, typically that first workout of the day, that's mandatory for firefighters.
Cool.
As far as captains and stuff go, like I obviously can't do anything about getting them
No.
out there other than just give them a little bit of a razz, like, hey, come on, Cap, come work out with us.
Yeah.
You know, and every once in a while they will.
Mhm.
But firefighters, it's like, hey, you're out in the gym with us. Like, I don't care what you got going on.
Yeah. Don't care how
You know,
hungover you
and-
are. Don't care, you know, how.
Oh yeah, if you show up hungover and you're gonna get broke
Yeah.
off. Well, that's
For sure.
universal law.
That's great. I wish that we had something like that in my department where it was mandatory, because it's almost you know, we've got a core group of guys that love to work out. All the younger guys that are coming on, like they're all fit, they're all into fitness, they love it, they know how to eat, they're tuned in and dialed in that way. But then the guys that were hired with me, like we're all captains now, and you know, most of these guys, they've just, you know, they've put on 30-40 pounds, and you know, and it's almost to the point where they will you know, I'll listen to the guys in the staff room, and it's almost like they'll put you down for trying to work out because they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a whole mind fuck thing, because it's like, you know, your job depends on you being fit and able to, you know, pull, like I have to be fit enough to pull your fat ass out of a fire when you go down and you're sucking wind, and you're going to put me down 100%. For going and doing burpees down in the gym, or like going for a run on the treadmill. You know, it's such a strange and toxic environment a lot of the times, and you can't talk sense into them either, because they'll just make it worse. And it's
it's a weird dynamic, you know, like you get you get kind of almost damned for trying to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
But then again, like anybody, you know, they don't like seeing people do better than them. So obviously they're going to just throw some shade, which is a bummer. But at the end of the day, you nailed it right there. It's like, if your fat ass goes down, who do you think's going to pull you
right.
out? Like, I don't depend on you to pull me out. So, I mean, how about you start doing something to make my job easier?
Well, that's it. We're doing the work for ourselves and for them, because we're keeping ourselves fit so we don't go down in a fire, and we're keeping ourselves fit so we can drag your fat ass out too. So it's like it's a lot. But I can also say this: in my first, you know, for my first 8 years of employment, I wasn't sober yet. I was still in the throes of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I was very out of shape. I was a terrible employee. I was a terrible coworker. I was a terrible public servant. You know, I was, you know, on my days on, you know, I put my uniform on and acted like I was, you know, tried to act like I was somewhat respectable. And then as soon as I had a day off, I was hanging out in crack houses and like shooting dope with like junkies on the street.
Oh, wow.
It was like a total two separate worlds. So I can speak from experience. Like these guys, there was a lot of guys who at one time thought that of me too. They thought there's no way, you know, you can't make it through a fire. You're a piece of shit drug addict and an alcoholic. and so I for me, that's been a big motivator to stay fit and to stay active in recovery and sobriety now, because I was that person, and I put stress, and I didn't see it at the time because I was so self-centered, but I put that stress on everybody else. They had to care for me. And, you know, I was dead weight to them. So now I'm trying to make up for it, and, you know, and continue to stay, even in an officer's role. Like I still want to stay fit enough that, you know, as fit as as humanly possible for me, because
right.
I feel I owe it to my coworkers. I owe it to, you know, the new guys that are on, to see, you know, that, you know, you don't have to go through the ranks and then get old and fat. You know what I mean? Like you can,
right. And that breaks right back down to that what we were saying at the beginning, leading by example.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, I would be so pumped up, you know, if I would see more of my captains or my company officers, like, really start taking their health and their fitness seriously.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you don't have to go in that like almost detrimental trajectory.
Yes.
where you start your career young and healthy and in shape, and then over time you're just slowly getting fat and slow and out of shape and unhealthy and salty.
Yes.
You can toe that line, where you're fit and healthy along the way, at least to an
Yeah.
extent, versus just like getting to some point and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore. It's like, it always matters.
It does always matter.
Like
Yeah.
if you're working towards retirement, don't you want to be healthy in retirement? Like you.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I feel like a lot of these people neglect that thought. They're like, well, we get this, if you have badass, pension or retirement and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like, don't you want to enjoy it? Or do you want to be riddled with health problems?
Yeah. Well, that's a huge motivator for me. I mean, I've got a 9-year-old stepson now, that came into my life about 5 years ago, and I can retire in about 8 years now. So I'll still be like mid-50s. I want to be as fit as possible and enjoy as much of my retirement as I can with my stepson and my wife, because she's 14 years younger than me too. So like those are the two people under my roof that motivate me to stay healthy, because I don't want to be another statistic like the rest of the guys that I see work until they're 60 and then they fall off, retire at 60, they're dead by 61. It's about quality of life and longevity, and
100%.
seeing our kids, being healthy and active and fit for our kids, being able to, my kid's a lacrosse player. I want to be able to throw. I know you were a lacrosse player too.
I was.
Yeah. My kid's a psycho. He's a goalie, and lacrosse goalies.
Nice.
Were you field or box?
I was field.
Yeah.
We didn't really have box here.
Okay.
But yeah, goalie's gnarly. That's like the craziest.
They're psychotic. to get those lacrosse balls thrown at you, and he's 9 years old, fearless, just doesn't give a fuck. He's so good. So I got to be able to sit.
Badass.
Yeah, and like I got to be able to fire balls and run around with him in the lacrosse stick. I got to keep up with him because he depends on me. I'm the only father figure he's got locally. His dad lives way out on the East Coast, so. So that's a motivator for me, right? I got to stay fit for him because he's counting on me to be there for him. He's counting on me to be a healthy example for him. And I mean, I couldn't just sit around and watch. I have to be doing this. It wouldn't feel right for me. So,
right.
Yeah, like there's so many reasons to take care of yourself and to look at longevity. And it breaks my heart to see the people that I don't like. Yeah, I'll kind of talk shit to them because I think that might light a fire under their ass, especially at work.
Yeah.
But I mean, it breaks my heart because I think, what are your people, like, what are they, what example do they have now? Your kids are looking at you and you're not taking care of yourself.
Oh, yeah.
You're self-conscious, you're embarrassed. That's not a father to be proud of or a parent to be proud of, right?
No. And like at the end of the day, that's what you want. Like you want your child, whether they're your stepson, stepdaughter, or your blood biological child, to be like proud that you're, that's my dad, that's my mom. Like, because they do see you as like a hero, as a role model. So be that fucking role model.
100%.
Like, don't be that slouch on the couch, like waking up hungover every day, like, oh, I'll play with you later, or we'll go do that another time, or like be that motherfucker that's up before your kids, working out in front of your kids, showing them how to eat healthy, showing them how to live. Because I mean, I still remember my dad. He always woke up early. He'd always be on his little stationary bike, first thing in the morning, watching like old football videos and stuff like that. Like, I remember that. I remember when we'd go on vacation and he would wake up and go for a run in the morning. Like, I remember that. And it's like, I feel like, in a weird way, that's why I am the way I am now.
For sure.
Like it's.
And it's ingrained in you as a child.
That.
Yeah.
And I want to instill that same level of dedication and discipline into my children.
100%. I think we have a duty to do that, really.
100%.
As you were training the guys at work and sort of like becoming a leader that way, how did you sort of transition into the official kind of coaching capacity that you're in now, and how did Reliant Fitness come about for you?
So like I said, I kind of took that role into taking pride in crafting all the workouts at the station level and trying to teach my guys about, working out properly and eating properly. And kind of like how we discussed, only a few are receptive to it.
Okay.
And I used to work as a trainer when I was younger, like in my late teens and early 20s. And when I was in college, I actually studied, exercise science and kinesiology for a short period of time. So I have some background in it.
Okay.
And then I started seeing, all these coaches online and doing it. And I'm like, well, I might be able to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
If I could even just make a few extra bucks every month to compensate for overtime I'm not getting at the station or something of that nature, then so be it.
Right.
That's when I kind of leaned further into that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get in really good shape, and I'm gonna basically show other people how I did it.
Cool.
And I linked up with Wes Watson, who's been my coach, my mentor now for the past it's got to be almost 8 months, 9 months now.
Okay.
And I saw a couple guys that I knew personally go through his fitness program and come out with just like incredible results. So I'm like, okay, I got to see what he's doing here. So I jumped on his 90-day fitness program.
Okay.
Had a pretty massive change in not only, physical shape, but, my mindset too, just hammering down and staying disciplined and making all these things a priority. And then I wanted to transition into the coaching thing. So he basically kind of helped me get set up in the coaching world and teaching me more so just how to market myself and how to market the knowledge I already possessed.
I see.
It started off as like this little thing, with a couple clients making a few extra bucks, and now it's like it's a big it's a kind of a big deal. It's blown up in a short period of time, which has been an absolute blessing, and incredibly amazing to just see what you can do when you really put like your heart and your mind in the right place, because it wasn't necessarily about money. It was more so like, I'm going to get myself right and I want to show others how to do the same. So having kind of that genuine aspect behind it,
Right.
just skyrocketed,
Yeah.
At a pretty wild rate. What I've been able to do in the last couple of months, I would have never thought possible, a year, 2, 3 years ago.
For sure. And I think, to speak to that point, I think the people who always do the best in their ventures that they've invested in themselves are the people that don't set out to make money. You know what I mean? Like you set out, of course the money's great, but your initial hope for this is just to, inspire people and to be of service to others, right? To inspire change and actually to be that person that can kind of take somebody's hand and walk them through that change. And, that's a big thing. And, the people that set out to make money are most likely taking shortcuts, most likely wanting to scale things back and be very hands-off. Mm-hmm. But the people who are truly successful are the ones that always have the service mindset of like, I'm here to be of service to others, and the money is great, but it's not about the money.
Right. And that was like the biggest thing, is like going through something that kind of helped me, transition into a better individual, through a heightened sense of discipline and kind of rediscovering, my purpose as a man. And then just seeing how good I felt and what you're capable of when you put all the bullshit aside. Like basically, I stopped drinking, stopped smoking. I started really paying attention to what I was eating, like really paying attention. Mm-hmm. And then just, I eliminated making excuses. I used for so long, I started, I can't do that. That's not for me. I'll never look like that. Like, why would I want to look like I just stepped off of a magazine cover? And now it's like, now what, motherfucker, why not? Like it's so easy when you really like put your mind and your effort into it. And it's really not that hard. So many people they shoot themselves in the foot before they even get started. and they don't even realize that
Hmm.
they're killing the reality before it even has a chance to come to fruition by telling themselves that they can't do it.
Right. They're defeated before they even start based on mindset.
Yeah, and then so then to go
Yeah.
to be able to take these people who are like, I want to do this, but I don't know where to start, and being like, look, just do these things, and that's what I do for my clients. I set up their whole training program. I dial in and schedule
Yeah.
their workouts. I make it super easy to follow. I do the same thing with their diet. Like here are the foods you should be eating in roughly these amounts for your body weight, your activity level, and the goal that you're trying to reach. And for where
Yeah.
you're at now and where you're trying to be, I recommend that we work together for X amount of time. And
Okay.
then I keep a very open door with them too. I'm like, here's my cell phone number. You could reach out to me on my phone, on the app. I schedule all the training in. Like, I'm very hands on with my clients. Like,
Yeah.
I know what you said, a lot of people just want to do this and get in and not really deal with any of the people they bring in, but it's like you have to, because you're not just a coach, you're a leader, and
Yeah.
these people need you to lead them to where they want to be. And that's what this is. You're building a stronger individual so that then they can in turn go lead other people as well.
100%. Yeah. I think that's important. Like, especially in the fitness world, I see a lot of people trying to sell a program, a one size fits all program. And that's not a
Mm-hmm.
coach. Like a coach tailors something to the individual. And a coach is a personal motivator that you have a personal connection with, that stays 100% invested in every one of his or her clients'
Yeah.
lives. And that's what I was talking about, right? Like, yeah, you can develop an app and have here's a 30-day workout, and here's a nutrition plan based on, your age or whatever. But it doesn't work that way for every
Right.
person. Every body is
Right.
different, and every body requires a different set of macros, a different level of activity.
Mm-hmm.
It's the different care per person. And that's what makes a coach.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person, I'm like not right now because I'm injured, but I fight like boxing and Muay Thai. And I've had some coaches that I felt like I was just a number.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also had some coaches that were personally invested in my life, they knew about my personal life. They knew about the way my mind worked, and the way I was, I may self-defeat before I was, stepping into the ring, and stuff like that. And those were the ones that were coaches. The other ones, I was just paying a fee to a general service.
Yeah.
But I want a coach. I want somebody who, not holds my hand, but walks with
Right.
me.
Right. And
Yeah.
I do, that's what I try to do. There's a lot of people that come on,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously you get what you put into it. If I get people that come in and
Yeah.
they're only giving me like, 30, 40, 50%, then it's like, okay, well, I'm going to just continue to watch you give this. But if you want other, aspects of this, then come ask me what to do. But then I have other people that are
Right.
literally doing everything I lay out for them. And then it's like, obviously, those are the
Yep.
people that I'm going to give more attention to, because they're following instruction.
Of
They're doing
course.
the things that I lay out for them. It's something I unfortunately had to learn the hard way, but it's like, when I first started my business, obviously I wanted every single client to come in and do well and get like everything that they wanted out of it. But I
Yep.
could build someone the most perfect workout program and set up their diet and give them everything that they can do, everything that I did to get to where basically what I do. But at the end of the day, they still have to bring
Mm-hmm.
themselves to do it all, you know. And
Yes.
I spent a lot of my first couple months like trying to chase these people down, and it's just like they
Mm-hmm.
just didn't want it that bad. And I just kind of have to
Yeah.
suck it up and be like, all right, that's their choice. Like, and then I'm graced with a handful of people that are, following instruction to a T, doing everything, checking in with me on a regular basis, and like absolutely loving it. And those people are getting to experience
Yeah.
the massive change, not only physically, but mentally, because it is very mentally rewarding when you
Sure.
see, you're literally building the person you want to be and seeing those results come to life. You know, that's where that
Yeah.
mindset is developed, is kind of just putting your head in down into the work and just chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And then one day you're like, holy fuck, I did it. You know what I mean? And like, that's the coolest thing, you know, is seeing these clients grow as an
Yeah.
individual.
For sure. For sure. And I think it's important too that like, it's not that you one day, you know, you put your head down and do the work and then you're like, oh, I've become that person. It's like, I'm still always becoming better. I'm still always chasing that next best thing or that next, you know, that 1% better every day. And I liken it to, I mean, my thing is addiction recovery. It's the same sort of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I get stagnant, if I say, okay, you know what, I've been sober for 12 and a half years now. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I've already done it. I've done it. I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never go back. That's when I start taking back steps without even knowing it. You know, the more I realize that I'm never done, the better I become every day. And I think it's the same for fitness, it's the same for mindset, it's the same for addiction recovery, anything in life. Those are the bottom line principles that apply to everybody.
Yep. And that's what you just have to come to realize is the work is never really truly done.
Yeah.
There is no finish line. It's just like, okay, I reached this goal, like what's next?
Yeah.
You know, and you don't just win and then get to stay there. Like you're constantly having, you know, there's more upkeep, there's more growth, there's more goals,
Yeah.
there's more work to be done at all times. And that's what's fun about it too. You have to love the process, because if you don't love the process, you're going to give up. You're going to reach a certain point and you're like, man, I'm just burnt the fuck out. But that's why your why has to be stronger than your why not.
Okay.
You know, like the reason you're doing it has to be a bigger reason than to like, I want to sleep in today, or I don't want to work out today, or I want to eat, you know, this big old pizza or burrito instead of like what I should be eating for my meal prep.
Right.
You know, that why, your why has to boil down to why you're still going.
100%.
And for me, it's just, I feel like every day that I grind, every day that I'm on point with my daily disciplines, my workouts, my nutrition, I'm just further burying the nails in the casket of who I used to be. And I don't want to see that motherfucker anymore. I don't want him to come back, you know? So every single thing that I'm doing is driving him deeper into the ground, you know, and just making it that much more impossible for that lifestyle to come back.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I think that's something that, you know, people need to hear, right? Because I love the way you put that, like you're driving the nails further into the casket, because we don't want to regress. We don't want to see that person again. We put that person to sleep a long time ago. For some of us, it's you know, it's been a month or we're planning on putting that person to sleep, and we're on that cusp of, I need to change. I just don't know how. But, you know, I love the way you put that, because that's how I feel about, you know, myself in recovery too. You know, like that person is like so far away from who I am today. I if I don't keep doing the do's and putting in the work and becoming further and further and further away from that person, he's still there. He can still come back to life.
Absolutely.
But as long as I keep 100%. Progressing, I keep driving those nails deeper into the coffin, and I love it. That's amazing, man. I love the way you put that.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. But that's how I see it in my head, like every day, like, you know, just hammering a nail, just fucking boom, just burying that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know, because this life that I've obtained, that I've built, that I've created is a million times better than the life that I used to live. So, I mean, it's just a constant reminder of why I do it, you know, because this is better than what it used to be.
Right. So when somebody is on that, like they're at that point of like, I need to change. What do you tell somebody? What do you tell somebody when they're like, you know, they're full of excuses why they can't change, but they know they desperately want to change? You're kind of like, you know, they're at that very vulnerable point of like, I want it badly, but I can't cross that line. I can't get over that hump of who I am today and who I could be tomorrow.
Well, they have to see it. I tell them that they have to visually create it in their mind, because if they don't see it, if you don't create that vision mentally, you can't obtain it, because you can't hit a target that doesn't exist. So you have to create that mental target. Well, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you want to look like? And I tell my clients, like, be very specific with these goals. Like, if you want to lose weight, don't just say, I want to lose weight. Be like, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to wear a size 32 pants.
Right.
I want to fit into a size medium t-shirt. Like, I want to look good, and all these, like, be specific with these goals, or you're never going to reach them.
Yeah.
Because once you narrow down the spectrum of what you're really trying to accomplish, it's much easier to do.
Okay.
You can't, and that's just going back to painting that visual picture and making that mental target. You can't hit a target that doesn't exist. So make a target.
That's great. And I think it's important too, that, what you said there about, like, being super specific about it, because it's okay to have a general goal. I want to look better. I want to be confident at the beach, or I want to be able to run X amount of miles and not be winded, or I want, but it's a kind of a lofty goal. It's like, no, I want to, I weigh 185 pounds today. In 3 months, I want to be down to 165. I want to fit into the clothes I wore last year, and I want to have signed up for my next fight, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing is,
it's huge. And I kind of started doing that, like, for myself, when I started reading, some of Napoleon Hill's books,
Mm-hmm.
And he goes into that very, developing that mind state, that visualization, and, like, almost like journaling it on a daily basis, and practicing a level of gratitude for it, like it's already happened.
Okay.
And that was something I kind of implemented into my own life, and was, it worked. So I tell my clients the same thing periodically, like, when we do our weekly meetings, or when I do one-on-ones, I'm like, all right, like, I told you guys, basically write out your goals. Where are you at on that right now?
Cool.
Okay, well, let's rewrite them. Let's see what you got now. Like, you've gotten here, rewrite them. And that's something I still do almost every morning. I'll just pop open my little journal, and I'll write out, hey, thank you for, allowing me to create an elite service where I can serve other people and build them up. Like, basically, like, being very, not just like, I built a cool business. Like, I offer an elite service to people to help them become better individuals. My goal is to make, X amount of money this month. Like, some people might say it's a crazy amount, but you have to be kind of wild with this shit.
Sure.
Like, I'll literally write down, like, $60,000 a month, and be like, I made $60,000 this month, signing up, 15 new clients, and helping them work towards achieving their goals in 90 days or in 6 months. And with that $60,000, I'm going to reinvest 15% back into my business. I'm going to put 20% into savings. I'm going to take my family on this vacation. Like, you have to be, specific with these things.
For sure.
Because, like I said, if you don't have a target, you can't hit it.
Yeah.
By making a bunch of these small targets, it makes it a lot easier for me to kind of stay on track, like, why I'm doing it.
Definitely. No, that's amazing. And I think that again, it's something that could be applied to, any facet of life. And that, we all can pick up a pen and do that. It doesn't cost us any money to write down our goals. Right. So it's a very, that's a great thing that, hopefully people can take away from this. But, what's your clientele base like? Like, how many clients do you have that you work with?
So right now, I'd say I have right in that, I'm right around 100 clients.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And there's a handful that I deal with very, very closely.
Okay.
I'd say I have a pretty good base of about, like, 30 clients that I'm very, very close with.
Okay.
That I talk with almost on a kind of a daily basis. There are a lot of people, though, who come on my program, and I give them everything, and then I never hear from them.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I said about, like, like, I can give them everything they need, but I can't make them do it.
Yeah.
And it's not that they can't reach out to me and ask me for more or help and stuff like that. Some people just don't.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You know, some people, and it's great too. It's sometimes it works out. Like they'll just do everything I tell them and I'll never hear anything from them. I'll just see their workouts get logged. And then after their program, 90 days, 6 months, they're like, hey man, I lost like 25 pounds and I look great and I feel great. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Why didn't you like tell me this was going on along the program? But you know,
Well,
but thanks for telling me now.
I
Like,
mean, it's great that they can share their success with you and whatever. But I mean, I think, yeah, for sure. I mean, as a coach, I mean, you must think, well, I wish I could have seen that progress and been with you on that journey, because,
yeah,
I think it's important to have people that walk that path under our guidance. And this is for me, I'm talking maybe for people in recovery, like for any person that's helping another person, it's in service to another person. It really gives back a lot as a person that's helping somebody else to see their progress. And like for you as a coach,
absolutely.
if you've got those check-ins and people be like, damn, it's been a month and like, look at the transformation, and, I'm down 2 pant sizes, and, my girl is finally interested in me again. And this kind of stuff, like that's a motivator for a coach to say, hey man, this is something that I've helped a person create a life beyond their wildest dreams, and I get to walk that with them. It gives back so much.
It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And like that's the best part about it. It doesn't, you can't put a dollar amount on that.
No.
And like when someone finishes up their assigned training, and they're like all those things you said that range from, like my wife looks at me different now.
Yeah.
I feel great. I look great. I'm down 10, 15, 20 pounds. Like those are very big, life-changing things that a lot of people just like, they think that they can't accomplish.
Yeah.
It's like, and I use it as a call to action a lot of the times too, because I did it personally. Like I lost almost 50 pounds,
Did
and
you
I
really?
didn't even think that I had like 50. Oh yeah. I didn't even think I had 50 pounds to lose.
Yeah.
So like, I say it like, hey, like how many of you could afford to lose like 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds?
Yeah.
How many of you would that be like life-changing for? And I know it's a lot of people, especially with the society that we live in nowadays. Like so many people are overweight, out of shape, and just overall like unhealthy.
Yeah.
So that getting that in check, it would be a massive change in lifestyle, for the better.
Yeah.
But when they actually accomplish it and they build that level of confidence and have that sense of accomplishment, it's just a completely new sort of trajectory for them in life.
Yeah.
They see things that they believe they couldn't do before, and now they're like, well, if I did that, I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's just the next wheel turning. Like like you build up, like we call it, like stacking
Right.
wins. You stack your wins over and over and over and over, and things that you used to think were difficult or hard or impossible are just easy now.
Yeah.
And you just continue to chase things that seem outlandish to some people, but you're like, I can do it. I know I can do it
For sure.
because I already did all this. I did all this to get here.
Yeah.
And now those things that used to seem light years away are just 10 steps ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And I think too, with that, what I really hear when you're telling me this stuff is that people may look at it on a surface level as like, yeah, you're changing people's bodies, but really it's a mental health thing as well. Right. And that's something that I really, really, I'm hearing loud and clear the way you're talking about, stacking these wins and going after these goals that seem outlandish and almost insurmountable. But, you're changing your mindset towards this stuff and proving to yourself that I can achieve what was previously thought as impossible. And so mental health wise, I mean, you're blowing people's minds in a way about themselves and what their what their possibilities are in life. And I mean, that stuff. And I really think that's important to, to touch on is, it's not about, yeah, great. You look fantastic. You're ripped, you're shredded, you're all this stuff. That's wonderful. But what's going on up here because of all the stuff that you put yourself through, the discipline that you have, the wins that you're stacking, the pats on the back that you can give yourself that you were never able to in the past. Right.
Right. And that's like the biggest thing that we can get out of this. Cause like you said, you nailed it. Like, yeah, you look good. You lost some weight, but the mental capacity that you gain from creating that person is next level. It's hard to be unhappy. It's hard to be depressed when you like what you see. When you walk past your reflection in a piece of glass or in a mirror and you're like, damn, I fucking built that motherfucker.
Sure.
And you're just like stoked, you're happy. It changes everything. And that's what so many people are quick to forget, is that we are capable of so much physically and mentally. And then we just, so many people live in this small box where they just tell themselves that they can't, or they're so conditioned to being told that they can't.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can, you just have to want it bad enough. And typically getting with somebody who can help shape, give you structure to achieve that goal, it's like, it makes it really hard not to achieve those things,
For sure.
And that's a plus side of working with a coach or working with a mentor. You look at all these great individuals over time, whether they were athletes or politicians or world leaders or philosophers, they had a counsel, they had mentors, they had coaches of some sort to help them, mastermind their way into an elevated position per se.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so many people are afraid to hire a trainer or hire a coach, but it's like, it's almost necessary. Like if you're really trying to take your life to an elevated level, to a next level, whether it's mentally or physically or financially, you need to get with somebody who's going to show you how to do that.
Yep.
There's very few people who can do it 100% on their own.
Well, and I think, and I relate a lot of the things back to recovery and stuff like that for myself. But I say this oftentimes because I mentor and sponsor people in recovery, and it's like, listen, like you've done it on your own for your entire life, and look where it's got you. Get with somebody who's walked the walk and who continues to do that, and learn from somebody who's been there and continues to improve. It doesn't mean that it has to be me. It doesn't mean, you know what I mean? But like, if you're not getting with somebody who's already jumped that hurdle, where's your motivation? And you've done what you've done on your own has led you down this path of self-destruction almost, that it's almost impossible. I mean, there's very few people who can get well from addiction or like being extremely obese or being, being in a physical, mental, spiritual state of despair. That's where they've gotten themselves on their own. So why not reach out for help? Yeah. Have somebody that's walked that walk and that's jumped those hurdles to tell you how they did it, where they stumbled, how they fixed those things. And you know what I mean? Motivate and somebody that can motivate them in their life to say it's possible. And I think that's the main thing, is like, you know what, if he's done it, then I can do it. It is possible.
Yeah. It's basically having that individual in your corner that, like you said, it shows you the way, who has been there. And then basically at the end of the day, they're like, I believe in you.
Yeah.
You can do this. Yeah. And a lot of people just need to hear that. They just need to hear like, hey, you can do this.
Yeah.
Just keep doing these things and you'll reach that point. Because I think that's where so many people get thrown off track, is they are so conditioned to that living in doubt, and then to have someone that's like, hey, you can do it. I believe in you. Like, I'm pulling for you. I'm going to help you get there. And it's like, fuck, dude, this dude's really going to help me. Like, this dude's really fucking believes that I can do it. I better not let him down.
Yeah.
And like, that's kind of what it boils down to too, is having someone that believes in you.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us men, especially, people don't realize that a lot of us haven't had somebody in our life to say, I believe in you and I'm proud of you. Those are the two things that we really, really crave. That's what we need to hear from another man.
Yeah.
You know, those two things can change your life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I know, like, especially in the fire service, like, everybody's like so quick to, oh, well, you want a compliment for doing your damn job? Like,
Yeah.
suck it the fuck up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Versus, like, yeah, like we do, I feel as men, as humans, we are, in a sense, like dogs. Like, we want to do good and we want to please, but at the same time, we want to be like pet and told, like, hey, good job, good dog, good
Good
boy.
boy.
You like, you did well.
For sure. Yeah.
you know
100%.
so it's like when you have somebody that does that, that basically, hey, good job, man, I'm proud of you, keep pushing, you're killing it. It may seem like something super little, but when you go from never, basically not having it for an extended period of time or never having it at all, to someone basically telling you that on a repetitive basis, like, it just unlocks like a key in your brain to, like, okay, I can keep pushing, I can keep going.
100%, man. That is so, it's so simple, but so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could sit and talk to you for hours, but we're coming up on an hour and 15 here. So, I want to thank you for, telling us your story, for motivating me. I can speak personally, for motivating me on a daily basis through your social media and communicating with you through DMs and stuff like that. It's always a pleasure. You seem like such a genuine, honest, humble person that is truly truly a person of service, and that really is important to me. I will say this: I am very proud of everything that you do, and I'm proud of you for doing what you do and continuing to motivate and inspire us. If anybody out there is also inspired and is moved to learn a little bit more about you, maybe check out your program, where can they find you online?
Yeah, Instagram is probably the best spot. So at reliant.fitness, TikTok, YouTube, also, reliant.fitness or reliant.fit. If you're looking to get on a program or you're just looking to chat about things that I have going on or available options, you can always just shoot me a DM. And then I also have an application link in my profile. So if you're looking to, put in an application, I usually reach out to my people that submit applications within 1 to 2 days of submission. So those are probably the easiest and most, effective ways to get a hold of me.
Excellent, man. And I'll link all that in the show notes so people can easily access that stuff. And, once again, I just want to thank you for taking the time and sharing your story. I wish you, as always, like, continued success. And I look forward to watching you continue to grow.
Thank you, brother. It's been an absolute blessing. And once again, thank you for the opportunity. It's been awesome.